What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got some more NBA news to be talking about with you guys. For those of you who haven't heard about this, it is now currently being reported that the Miami Heat are very interested in potentially signing Damian Lillard with a guy named Ethan Skylarnik. I think that's how you say his name. I probably butchered it, but he's on Off 5, a season sports network. He actually went on to go and say, if Damian Lillard leaves Portland, one of the places that I've been told would be very attractive to him and very interested in him is the Miami Heat. So again, even reporters are currently reporting this right now, on their shows. It is extremely interesting to see this whole Damian Lillard thing kind of unfold. I do really think that, I don't know, I think this is the closest that Damian Lillard has been wanting to leave the Portland Trail Blazers for a long time, and it's really crazy how many people on the internet want to see the Portland Trail Blazers fail. But it's not that they want to see the Portland Trail Blazers fail in a wrong way. It's actually kind of reasonable now, because I think people want to see them fail and go on this rebuild just because of how long they have been trying to make this situation work with Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, etc. And they just can't get anywhere. Like, the closest they made it, was us getting swept in the conference finals by the Golden State Warriors. And again, that was a couple of seasons ago now, and they've never been able to recreate that same form, even after having multiple trade periods, etc., where they've gone out and gotten Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, good players like Robert Covington, Derrick Jones Jr., etc., and nothing has been able to come out of it. Not just that, it looks like the Portland Trail Blazers will not be hiring Jason Kidd as their new head coach, which is who Damian Lillard reportedly really wanted. But again, they're not going to be hiring him, which means it's just probably going to be that indication where, who knows, he could actually leave now at this point, which is really a weird thing to, kind of talk about, considering how long he has been with this Portland Trail Blazers team. But of course, the Boston Celtics, the New York Knicks, the Golden State Warriors, so many teams we have heard are interested in him. I'll be continuing to make videos on this, but for today's video, we do have the Miami Heat, which has come out and really, kind of shown a lot of interest in Damian Lillard, and I think they would actually be perfect to, try and get him. I mean, they have a lot of trade assets. I know they really didn't go out and get James Harden like they probably should have. I know that was a really weird thing, but I think they've kind of learnt their mistake now, where Tyler Hero is not an untouchable dude, and they really got to look for maybe a trade for an all-star. And again, Tyler Hero will be a part of that. So again, I'm very interested to see how this is all going to, kind of unfold. Of course, Tyler Hero would be in this, but it's kind of like, do the Miami Heat still have him as an untouchable? And you wouldn't think so, right? Like, that would be absolutely stupid for them to potentially have this, as a thing. They need to desperately look to try and get an all-star, especially if they want to contend, in this period, because Jimmy Butler, he did not have exactly the greatest season out there. I know he still had a very good season where he actually increased his scoring and his assists and rebounds, but it just didn't seem, really like that. It didn't really seem like we had that playoff Jimmy Butler come back, and there was a lot of issues with him. Victor Oladipo as well didn't get, the time he probably should have. He had a lot of injuries, etc. And Bam Adebayo had another pretty good season, but they couldn't recreate the success they had in the previous season. And I think this is the time you got to contend. I don't think they should be waiting a couple years. There's no point waiting till Jimmy Butler gets a lot older, and who knows how many years we have of Victor Oladipo actually being a solid player, as he's had so many injuries. Like, that dude is literally prone now, and he's nearly 30 years of age, which is crazy to think about. So if I was them, I would be looking to offer up, of course, Tyler Hero. I'd do a sign-and trade of Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn, give them big money, probably like $15 million each, which is reported that they've both wanted. Of course, that's $30 million between them, plus Tyler Hero's probably $4 million contract. And then you'd have to throw in Precious Achiuwa as well, who's on, I believe, about a $3 million. So that'll be about $27 million right there. So that'll probably match up somewhat of the contracts for Damian Lillard. And then you would, of course, have to throw in like 4 future first-round picks to try and get Damian Lillard to the team. I mean, his value is real up there right now, and he's only going to get traded if he requests a trade. It's not like they're going to be trading him for absolutely no reason at all. So definitely don't, expect anything exactly like that happening. He'll still be on the team unless he requests a trade. But if he does, the Miami Heat would be cool, and they'd have a lot of trade assets. Now, here's the thing. It would be weird, though, to see Dame in a Miami Heat uniform, just because I don't necessarily think he would want to go there. I think he's got his sights set on maybe some other teams. I haven't necessarily heard Miami be one of those teams for quite a while until we heard this reporter, say so. The other thing as well is, how would he go with Jimmy Butler? Because Jimmy Butler's found a lot of recent success on this Miami Heat team. And one of the reasons why that is because he's been able to be the main playmaker, the main ball distributor, and he's just had the ball in his hands, predominantly since he's been in that Miami Heat team. So you wouldn't take it away from him. When Dame goes to the bench, Jimmy Butler would probably become like the main dude with the ball. I just don't think he would have the ball in his hands as much. So his playmaking might go down a little bit, and so would his stats maybe. And it would be really hard to see, though. Who would be the number one option for this team? Would it be Damian Lillard, or would it be Jimmy Butler? Or would they take an approach to it like how LeBron and AD did in their championship year, where they kind of both said, hey, we're kind of both the number one guys on this team. And of course, LeBron took a little bit of a back seat. He still knew he was like the number one guy, and he still knew AD was like probably the number one dude too. They kind of just both shared the load, even though, saying that out loud sounds kind of wrong, but hey, enough about that. Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler, I think, could do a very similar thing, where both of those guys kind of, be the number one dude on their team, and probably would both have a very similar type of usage rate. So I wouldn't expect Bam Adebayo's stats to go down that much, because he's a center. He doesn't require an extreme amount of the ball. So I don't exactly see anything like that, happening. So I think that'd be pretty safe. But hey, this is what will take this team to a championship, winning team. I think, of course, just because now you don't have literally any role players, I think you've got to go out and get some shooters in free agency. Of course, I think Goran Dragic, they'll decline his team option, which is $19 million, which means he will leave. And I think they'll go use that money to go get some other players in free agency. Of course, they'd have Victor Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Damian Lillard, so they probably wouldn't have that much cap left. But hey, if they declined Goran Dragic's team option, they could probably go get some veterans here and there for a couple of million per year. Of course, they would have re-signed a Razorback on the minimum, Dwayne Dedmon back on the minimum, Leitz, who's on $7 million, will come back on the minimum. Iguodala, who's on about, I believe, I think he's on like $18 million. He'll probably come back on the minimum. And then again, they'll be over the salary. So how they go and handle this, they'll probably re-sign Victor Oladipo on about $20 million per year. They'll definitely still have some, cap, of course, from, Dragic and Iggy, them declining their options. They'll bring E back on, again, $1 million a year or so, or the veterans minimum. But hey, I think what they should do is maybe go out and get like a veteran type of shooter. I'm not exactly too sure who that would necessarily be. There are definitely a lot of them, out there, a lot of those veteran type of shooters. But again, none necessarily really come to mind too much. I know Nicholas Batum will be out and about. Again, he's been benched a couple of times for the Clippers very recently, so he might be looking for a different team here and there. They could try and do a sign and trade as well for Luke Kennard, which would be pretty cool. I think I'll talk about this one, because I know the Heat, I think, were kind of interested in Luke Kennard last year. Considering the Clippers really need a point guard, they could do a sign and trade where they, accept the team option of Goran Dragic and trade him for Luke Kennard. That would give them a shooter. And then the way I could see, let's say they sign Nicholas Batum as well. I think the Miami Heat team would now start to look like Damian Lillard at point guard, Victor Oladipo at shooting guard, Jimmy Butler at small forward, probably Trevor Ariza still at power forward, then Bam Adebayo at center. While off the bench, you would probably have like Luke Kennard, Dwayne Dedmon, Leitz, Andre Iguodala. Haslam will probably still be there, and they'll probably go out and get some other guys. You could say, well, they don't really have a backup point guard, but that's not necessarily true, because Butler and, of course, Damian Lillard will both have the ball in their hands an extreme amount. And it's not like Victor Oladipo can't do that as well. He'll probably play a bit of, you know, when Dame's off to the bench or whatever, he'll probably play a little bit of point guard here and there as well. So, of course, this would all be a very, very interesting team if they could maybe try and find a way to make something like this happen. But, of course, if you haven't already, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest NBA content and NBA news. Don't forget to check out my, gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channels if you haven't already, which I will link in the description down below. And don't forget to check out my podcast as well if you haven't already. All of them will all be in the links for them in the description down below. But as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.